Um, Thank you all for coming here and showing an interest in becoming a group manager. This will be a training session where we'll be learning by doing. In this case, I will be doing the doing, but with the recording, I hope it's enough that you will feel comfortable to start your own group. And at the end, I'll explain to you what would be left to do. The idea of using roulette as opposed to some other binary approach, which is what we will be focusing on, is that it permits us to go through all the phases of a group manager role as opposed to having to wait for if we were to do a sporting event. So that's the only reason we're using roulette. It's just the perfect example. If any of you feel there's additional need for follow-up go-to-meetings, I'm going to be quite open to that, and we'll be able to talk about that after I finish my presentation. But if there are questions that come up, I really encourage you to ask them in time because others may have similar questions and I simply may not be clear enough. Okay, so the outline, I'm going to kind of give an overview of what the group manager role is. That'll be very brief, and then we'll jump right into using roulette to go through all the phases that a general manager needs to do. Now, the parts of the associative remote viewing, which is what we're talking about here, being a general manager using the associative remote viewing protocol, involve the remote viewing, the judging is the second phase, and then the feedback. From the viewer perspective, we always emphasize these two to ignore the judging. From the general manager's perspective, the judging becomes very important because it is the general manager who actually makes the prediction based on seeing all of the remote viewing inputs, which include the confidence rankings if you're using the WE protocol, which will be the focus, but if you want to use another protocol, you will certainly be able to, and we'll discuss that as well. And the transcripts. And so it is the judging phase now that becomes particularly important and special for the for the group manager. Okay, so that's where the wagerable prediction is done. Now we're doing binary predictions. That's going to be our focus, but if somebody said they wanted to become a group manager for, and we have had people do lotteries, 3 picks so far, but we've done horse races, other kinds of things. All of that is fine, but today we will focus on 2, and the extension to more than 2 is rather straightforward, and we certainly would love to have group managers who want to do other things as well. So with financials, it's up, down. With sports, it's over, under, or the favorite underdog, team A, team B. Politics, we actually did a prediction, and then roulette. And so that will be our example. But I just want to make clear that it is just an example. The group managers will be able to do whatever they, are moved to do. Any yes/no question, in fact. Okay, so with that, let's do it. How would we go about doing a, let's say, roulette prediction? And what I am about to show you is you open up your browser, and this is the link right here which starts it all. So it's p-i-a .com/gm_prediction_forms.html. So as a group manager, virtually everything you do starts here, and there are 3 phases. And we're going to go through all 3 of those. The first one is to set up the task. The second one is to actually make the prediction based on the inputs that your group members give you from the tasking. The tasking, at least in which is what I'm showing you here, but as a group manager, you would have to do these 3 steps in one fashion or another. And I guess I'll say now, to kind of become part of an app group manager and an app group, you need to somehow keep and transmit to us all the data. Does that automatically. We have some groups that keep their data on Excel spreadsheets. So before you would become an official app group, we would simply work out those details. We would show you the Excel spreadsheet, which are basically the same information that keeps automatically. So the first task is to set up the detailed tasking, and in it sends out the due date and a link on what to do, and you'll see that shortly. To get the coordinate, somehow you have to give your viewers some equivalent of a coordinate or a transcript reference number. And then you take that information. Step 2 is making the prediction, and then this is where you get the information to make your judgment, and then you send out that to your group members. So that's step 2. And then step 3 is you give them the feedback. You provide the outcome and the feedback. So as I've indicated, what you're seeing here is the way the winning entanglements protocol is set up, and you're all welcome to become group managers there, or you may want to do it some other way. So the group manager begins this process by putting in his email address. I have multiple email addresses, as most of you do, but as the tasker, I use this one. So you simply put in that. Now, what you see here, and in a way, I guess I have to maybe apologize, but it's just more of this is where we are right now in the development of this. The idea was to do this for other protocols as well, and that's why you see other choices. The only one that's fully operational is so you do need to put there. We had great intentions and still hope to do that someday, but we just don't have the manpower. So here for task 1, you click and you click step 1 form. Now, these are all of the these are all the groups that we now have that are using not all are active, but these are set up. And the next step would then to be click your group. Your group would then, if you do this with would be added here. And what I'm going to do is make this a webinar workshop and go through all the steps as if that were your group. Now, just because of the coding, and we had anticipated doing more, some of this isn't sort of minimal click. It's still simple, but it's not minimal click. What you need to do, since you did webinar workshop here, and notice it says it here, is to choose your specific group, but put nothing in this comment box. So all we do is choose your group here, you do submit the event, And now we have some defaults. Most of the groups are doing sports, and Webinar Workshop is doing sports. So the default for a Webinar Workshop is over under. We just coded that to make things easier. And for your group, we can actually make this whatever you want, and it would be random. But this can now be changed. Lots of times the groups go ahead and do different things. And so for this one, I'm just going to change this to be red and black. And this is usually random from the two choices that you make. But notice I'm putting a red, black, and here I'm going to put in a green, which is the, or maybe I'll just put 0. We're going to do roulette with 1, 0. Okay, so that has to be covered. Though you wouldn't be at a group manager level, I presume, if you didn't understand ARV well enough. So you have to cover all the possibilities. Okay, so this is a default. Enjoy your precognition, and transcripts will be due. Let's just say 7/6/2016 Pacific time. So I don't have any specific time here, but you would put obviously what you want. This is going to be fed back to your people. In fact, let me just say more so you'll see that. This is a GM training prediction. Okay, and then we put the event name here, and we'll say roulette. Now you can see I've done this before, but this time we'll just say roulette training for GMs, and the event date is today, which you can see the format we use here. That is good for our database because then the later dates always have a higher number. So that's why we use that format. 07, July 06, and then here 07, 06, and let's make this due by, say, 10 a.m. I think we'll be done by then, but this is an example. So you can give a specific time. Now, that's it. This is what you would have to do for step 1. And then you click, let's just, I always verify it, no matter how much I try. Every now and then there are mistakes. And then you just tell your people. Everybody's really very good about that. Everybody understands that we're human still. Okay, so I click submit, and then what you see here is just sort of a confirmation page, which again is messy. It actually has more than you really need. It just simply has here the email that was sent with the subject and the email. Now let me show you what just happened here. An email in the we case was sent out to all the members of that group, and with a little bit of luck I should have it right here. Well, look at that. So all the members of the group, and the only members of this group right now are me. So I have just received this email, but this email goes to all of the members of your group. And the people who are not using we have their own email list, and they send it out to all the members of their group. And notice it's got the name of the group, and then remember the default there was enjoy your precogging, and then transcripts due. This is a GM training prediction. So whatever you put in that box gets put here for you to dialogue with your members, and you can make this as long as you like. And then here, remember, we put in for the event roulette training. So there it is, and there's the start time, and here's the transcripts are due. Now, notice here, one way or another, you are going to have to give your members their coordinates, their tasking transcript number. You know, different people call it different things, but one way or another, there's a coordinate involved. And we do it in We with a link, which I'm going to click now. And what comes up here is defaulted to your group, and then you put in your individual email address. So I'll use my Marty at P-I-A email address. You know, you might have to type, they might have to type theirs in, but at least in Edge here, the choices come up, but you understand. And in We, there are choices of 2 coordinates or 1 coordinate. For an example, just to make it a little simpler, we're not really talking We here, we're talking Group Manager. I'm going to choose the 1 coordinate approach. So one way or another, you need to give them the coordinate, and that's what I'm doing here with We, just as an example, and to also go to the next step. So notice I'm in now really as a remote viewer. So this is what your remote viewers will somehow have to get their coordinate. So notice I've gotten this coordinate, and this is like for real. I've never seen this before. So this is 932453. So as a group manager, and every member in my group would have a different coordinate, but I know some of the managers give 1 coordinate for all the groups. Okay, so I am not going to do a session and take time to do that, but your role as group manager, finish step 1 when your remote viewers received their coordinates. So you now go about your business and do whatever you do, and the remote viewers now have until whatever due date you provided to send in their transcript. So let me put on my remote viewing hat, my role as a remote viewer, and say I've done a transcript. And one way or another, most of the group managers want to be able to see that transcript. In We would browse now and find, let me just see if I have one in this place. We would find, okay, here's a dummy transcript. So this is not real, but all of the remote viewers now, and it's kind of amazing how the technology over the last few years has changed. So no one seems to have problems anymore using their smartphone and getting a transcript onto their computer. So from their computer, they would, in We, use that browse button, okay, and it goes there, but other people simply have them email the general manager. The remote viewer would then email the general manager their transcript, so the general manager would have it to do his next step, which might be judging. It might even if they use self-judging, which as you'll see a lot of our people do, the group managers often want to look at the transcript. So we really do encourage the group managers to get transcripts. So now I'm wearing my remote viewing hat. I did a transcript, and now I click submit. Now, I'm still wearing my remote viewing hat. This is we. In we, most of the people do self-judging. If not, they would have handed their transcript off to a judge. And I have my transcript in front of me, and I'm just going to arbitrarily say, let's say I gave a confidence ranking of 4 to A and 1 to B. Again, remember, we're not talking we here so much as group manager. So I'm wearing my remote viewing hat now. I am doing a test only example as a remote viewer. Don't really count this. Okay, in fact, because of that, I'm going to just make it a pass. That makes it easy. I don't have to go back and change it. So most of you know about the TARC system, but what I've just done is, as an example, I have, as a remote viewer, I've uploaded my transcript to the general manager, and I've now given the general manager my judgment on my transcript. So that's what's happened here. So I'm going to submit that. And so this goes in as a pass. I get to see that as a remote viewer. So now imagine that everyone in your group, has now done this. So you might have 3 or 4 or 5 transcripts. You're the group manager. The due date has come up. You're now say, hey, I'm the group manager, right? I am going to now go back here. And now guess what? It's time to do a prediction. Are we clear then about task 1? Were any questions? Marty, please show how to add the new group. Add group member emails. When it will be possible. Throat lounger work well for me. Was that me? I'm hoarse probably. I will get to adding all of that at the end, Ivan. So be sure to ask that question again if I don't cover it, but I certainly plan on doing it. That's a whole thing which you don't do. I have to add you to the list. And then you then have to start a group, and I'll show you guys how to do that if you want to use a Google group. Some people just send out emails to their people. Okay, but task 1 now is getting all of the transcripts to yourself as a group manager. I've shown you how you do it in We, but one way or another, that clearly is step 1. You have all the transcripts, you have the comments that people may give you, their own judgments, and now it's time to do step 2. So click We, just as before, we do the step 2 form. And again, you can see this management part is really very straightforward. Again, the idea is you have to leave this blank, and that was just for our generalized coding. So you just put in your group here, you leave all of this blank, and it says it here, so to remind you, and then you do this, and now look what you have. What you now have is, as a group manager, all the things you would need to get from your viewers, or at least in the We protocol, it's everything that we think you should get. But as a group manager, I think you would want the same information. What you have here are the confidence rankings. Remember, I put in 3 and 1 for one transcript. We had the possibility of doing 2 transcripts, in which case those confidence rankings would be here too, because the group manager would in fact be interested in that. The other thing we have now is the ability to see the two possible choices that this particular viewer, and notice I only have one viewer here. If I had 10 viewers, I have something like this for each of the viewers, which would permit me to see their photo site choices. Remember, this is ARV, and their transcripts. So I just click the transcript. Actually, I have even better than that. Let me go back. I can actually directly get, this is the link to it, but I've now added, you can get the transcript directly. And remember, we put in a dummy file, but this, when I am a group manager, what I would see here from a real viewer is their full-up transcript, which they in fact took a picture of or sent as a PDF file or something like that. And so this would in fact be the transcript, which I then could compare to one photo choice and the other photo choice. So I have both photo choices available to me, and I have the transcript available to me, and that's what I do as a group manager, and I have that for every member of the group. So that was what I need. And we also do a little summary. Notice I had said as wearing my remote viewer hat, I'm doing a test-only example, and that's here. In this case, it was a pass, but I guess I was leaning towards red. And this is something which is, we don't have to talk about. That's, again, special to we. So you now, and this is in terms of the role of the group manager, probably the most important one and the most challenging and interesting one, and one which I am personally still working to get better and better at. And here is where you take all of this information and you need to ultimately, obviously you make this here, but you need to ultimately come up with what in we is called side 1 or side 2. In this case, side 1 and side 2 are red and black. Remember, we set it up that way, but that went in originally kind of randomly. Okay. But here is where you would choose side 1 or side 2. And let me just, because we're leaning in that direction, you would now say side 1 in this case. Notice there's a lot of sports and we're doing 4X, so in here you would put typically a line or something, but here why don't we just say red. You can say whatever words you want again in here. This is training GM prediction, which is for red in roulette. Okay, again, just trying to show you that what you put in here is going to go to your group, which of course is, you want one way or another to communicate with your group. And this is how we do it. Others write emails. Okay, so now, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, trust me, you did a lot of work looking at what was done here and making your decisions. I am personally trying to automate that, but certainly haven't succeeded in that yet, just because I work with a lot of new viewers. Some of you may in fact want to do that. Some of you may have your viewers already. In any case, after you've done this analysis, this is the analysis and judging phase, you do that. You put in whatever side you believe it is. You may in an email simply say, hey, we're predicting over, whatever you want to do. You can communicate with your people here. Oh, there's one other thing in we, which I think is important as part of the analysis, to have available to you the ability to see all of your viewers' histories. And one of the things which we require is keeping data. I mean, the reason app is here is because we believe data is so important. In we keep data like this, but you would keep it, we don't require any particular plots or anything. We do require, though, so in fact app can go back and make plots like this for overall analysis and things like that, not for any of your specific stuff. But we do require that you keep both your group statistics in that Excel sheet as well as individual viewer statistics, which we do believe you're going to want to do anyway. But that also serves the purpose of your very best viewers could become part of APPI and become professional precoggers, where APPI, if necessary, will actually start their funding. Okay, so that that is the page, which is the summary page, and no, I didn't click it yet, right? So on this page, what we do as part of the analysis is also include this link. And as I say, your time is going to be spent making your choices on where to wager, and then you simply send that off to your managers. Okay. Again, one way or another, it's your responsibility to communicate with your viewers in something like this. It's always done with an email, generally, because your viewers are all over the world. And in this case, here's the prediction of red. As you saw, I did. Here's the words I put in. This is a training GM prediction, which is for red for roulette. Okay, so now you've made your prediction. Now the event has to occur. So let's do the event, and we'll do that. If there was a sporting event, you would have to wait a while. What I'm going to do is do a roulette predictions using Bookmaker. So this is where I do my sports wagering. But they also have what they call a casino. So here's a casino. And they call it table games. And there's roulette. And okay, so the next step as a group manager is to await the outcome of whatever the predicted event was. I'm going to put $1 on red. So this was our event, and I think you understand this is just an example, and we'll see what happens.
1 red.
Ha! That's nice. Okay, I made $1. So that was the outcome, and I can now get out of this. And I don't care about that, but why don't we get out of that too, just to keep it clean. So now the game, the sports event, the Forex event, the whatever event is over. Guess where you go? Back to the same place. You put in your GM email address, and now we're at step 3. So now I'm using we. Again, if you're using we, you simply put in this and you leave everything else blank. Now you're the group manager. It is summarizing for you that your 2 sides, okay, which you put in, and that you in fact made a prediction for side 1, which was red. And so we now can say side 1, what actually happened. If this had come out black or 0-0, I would have put side 2 here. As a group manager, you must, and the whole system trusts that you will put in what actually happens. I think you understand. The remote viewers assume that. They're describing and sketching the feedback target associated with what actually happens. And in this case, side 1 is what actually happened, and that will then give you the target, the photo site target that actually occurs. Okay, so group hit. I always like to do something like that. Do your feedback sessions. Well done, whatever you want to say. And then let me also say this is the GM training. Okay. So actually, yeah, okay. And now, I guess I did put in side 1 instead of pass. Okay. And then you get another sheet just with the information again, just really tells you don't really need to look at this. It's a repeat of stuff that you've seen before. But the key thing from the perspective of the general manager is that, guess what? All of this is communicating with your group, and there's the feedback. So feedback for webinar workshop. The previous one was the prediction, and I guess the tasking says prediction in it too. No, here is the new coordinate. I guess I get 2 of these because I have 2 slightly different names. Okay, so here's the feedback, and it says winning side was red, the score was green, was a group hit. This is what I wrote, right? And then here is a link. So as a group manager, your third task, the third step, is to send feedback to your group members. And that's usually done with an email like this. Sometimes it might go directly to them. The way we do it is each viewer gets a link which is connected to their specific feedback target, which is different for each person. And so that's why each person has to put in their own name, okay? But now notice what I have done. I've put back on my, and I really want to make that clear, I've now put back on my remote viewing hat. Once you as a general manager sent out this email, you are actually done except for keeping the statistics. You've done your third step. You've given them the outcome, which is the last step in the series. So I just want to make sure that's really important. And now, as a viewer, I need to go and complete my feedback. So all the members in your group are now doing their feedback. And there was one of the two pictures, right? So I would go get my transcript and look at this. And this was GM training example. Nice lucky hit. And then I submit this. Now, I went through wearing my remote viewing hat because, again, I wanted to show you I believe it's helpful for the viewers to be able to see their own data. But as a group manager, you do have the responsibility for keeping that data at the level not as complicated as this, where I have a full and 10-day and 25-day. Gee, I haven't looked at mine for a while. Ooh, I don't like this. I've had a lot of misses recently for one reason or another. Doing stuff like this, I think. Anyway, you do have the responsibility for keeping the data up only at the level of date, hit, miss, pass, by person and by group. So generally, the group managers want to do more than that because they want to learn more about their people and stuff like that, so they can make their group predictions, which is what people might be wagering on, better. So actually, in terms of formal presentation, I would like to stop now, open it for questions, and then I can tell you more about, if you want to, in fact, definitely start a group. We'll talk more about that. But first, let's see if there are any questions. And I'm now looking at the chat. Had to add new group. Okay, Mark Turner, if you've got multiple transcripts, would you see them all on that page? Yes, you would see them all. Absolutely. So you would have access to everything. And let me see. Okay, so Ivan, let's get you understand what's involved here. After you do it one or two times, it becomes kind of routine, and then the real challenge is doing the judging and the analysis and what you choose to say to your group members. I mean, as a group manager, you want to have them be in the best possible mood, even when, there are misses and stuff like that. So as a group manager, the big challenges are the analysis and judging, and then communication with your group members. Now, becoming on this list, which is basically the next step if you want to go ahead and do it. I just want to show you the list because that would be the next step, is to get one of these a new name, the name that you would like. So the next step would be, you would send me an email. You would say, hey, yes, I really would like to start a group. I would like you to acknowledge that you are in fact, we may have somewhere requirements for group managers. I need to look that up. I wish I was a little better organized that way, but I think we have something which basically says you agree to keep stats, and that's about all, and share them with us. so that we in fact understand that this is true precognition. So that's where we need to be in the loop. And then I will go in, and there's some coding that needs to be done to get you on this list. If you're using we, if you're using your own approach, we need a description, a rough description, a couple of paragraphs of what your approach is. Is it classical ARV? Are you using, CAS? Are you using some other approach? And I would say we probably want to know the list of your, do we need your viewers? Well, I don't know if I need your viewers. When you keep your spreadsheet, we will get a list of your viewers. But basically a description of what your approach is. Is it self-judging? Is it independent judging? Is your plan to do sports? Is your plan to do stock options, Forex, etc.? So once you send me that email, in just a few days, I should get back to you, and you'll actually be able to start. So, Ivan, is that clear to you? And everybody else? Okay. Chat with me, talk with me. You're 100% comfortable?
I'm kind of clear on it, but it's it's a little bit overwhelming, Marty. I'm not a real computer person here, and I would like to, I'm interested in doing a group, but I feel kind of overwhelmed with everything here.
Okay, Jenny, and let me tell you, I think why.
I'm a good psychic, but I don't know if this is something that I can do.
Let me just encourage you by sharing the following with you. If you choose to do this, remember, notice what I'm doing here. You had to go to this link. Would that be a problem for you?
No, the link isn't the problem.
Here,
it's just,
no, wait.
it's just managing the group statistics that would be that I find a little bit on the confusing side. Actually, even the judging isn't a problem. I'm trained to do that. That's not where the problem lies. It lies in the computer processing of the information. Everything else, the psychic stuff, the prediction stuff, isn't a problem. I don't have an issue with that. It's just the computer stuff.
Are you considering using we?
I would prefer to use we because it's everything is right there. It's automated. I mean, it's so much easier. You've got a beautiful, wonderful system built up here, Marty. I mean, there's no, in my opinion, there's no better system in existence.
Okay, Jenny, thank you for that. And then you do not have to do any statistics. Make sure you understood what I said. We does automatically all the statistics for you. All you have to do is fill out these forms, which is very simple. That was the whole purpose, actually, of setting we up, was so that we could get the statistics and work with it easily. And so we does all of that, and then we've tried to make the general manager role and even the remote viewing, what the remote viewers have to do in terms of interface with the computer, as simple as possible. Okay. So your fears, I hope that 100% dissipated. You do no statistics with we.
Okay. I would not want to do my own system. You've got a much better system set up than I could ever dream of even, of doing.
Okay.
Um, that's not even a question in my mind. Um, it's just the manipulation. I mean, if I have the link, to start out with, then I'm fine.
And that's
I
all
can
you
usually.
need, and all the statistics for the group and for all of the members who join your group, they will get their statistics done automatically.
Okay. Another thing that I'm concerned about, it is it is really important to me that I continue my own psychic work,
Hmm.
and that, I mean, because this allows us to, um, as individual psychics doing predictions as remote viewers. And I realize this isn't like a real popular thing to say, but the fact is that as a remote viewer, I need to keep in practice, and I don't want to lose that. Can I continue to participate in Omega and Carve while I'm doing group managing?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one other thing you can do. You can actually participate. Now, you might not want to. Some people might say this is a type of front loading, um, and might not make you an independent judge. But to the extent that you felt that that was not a problem, you could actually participate in your own group, because the targets are chosen randomly and you won't know them when you do your remote viewing session.
Okay.
But no, there's no contradiction except managing your time. You're taking on one other thing, which takes a certain amount of time, but there would be no limitation in you participating in other groups.
Okay.
Okay, and I hope you do this, Jenny. You'd be really good, and I think, I don't know if you're thinking of bringing in new people or asking the discussion group, people
Well,
but
I'm trying to bring people in that are in like my own type of um, in my own type of psychic work. Some of them are kind of intimidated by the idea of it's kind of a black and white thing, kind of hit or miss. Um, and so I'm trying to, like, help them try to cope with this idea that, it is possible to do this
mm-hmm.
with a with objective judging. Some of them have objections to doing things for money.
Right.
Um, the group that's in Canada, that's local in Canada here, that I participate in, they're very much into psychic stuff. But the thing is that they are also very close followers of Edgar Cayce, who is very much against doing things for money. So,
Right.
I'm trying to kind of get over this obstacle and say, look, I mean, the money isn't what's important. It's the practice, and the fact is that, we
Having
this
money to
the
charity.
kind of stuff that we do provides plenty of opportunity for practice, and practice is what we need to do.
Right. Jenny, I'll let you work that out with them, but have them give the money to the Ed Casey Society or something like that,
Yeah.
if that'll make them happier.
It is
Oh,
it is the Edgar Cayce Society in Canada. That's the only psychic group that's active here.
okay. So at some point in time, I wouldn't even mind talking to them. If you could set up a meeting with that whole society, because I'd love to talk to them about money.
Oh, that would be a good thing.
I would love to do that. But let me see if there are any
I'll
other
talk to them.
questions.
I'll talk to them. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a local thing. You don't need to worry about that. We'll deal with that.
and we
We'll
can do
deal with
that
that
on the
on our
side. But yes, please
right.
go
Right.
ahead and form a group if you can. Um,
Okay.
now, any other comments? Uh, I, Ivan, how are you doing? Mark, um, do you feel comfortable going ahead and starting a group? John?
Yeah, this is Mark. I think I've got what it takes now, so I appreciate your webinar today, Marty.
Okay, good, good. Okay, so you feel comfortable in going ahead if you want to do that. And as I said, just send me an email with a name and, sort of well, you heard me say it, a commitment to keeping up the stats by person and group um, at the high level. Okay, John, how about you? And Ivan?
I'm just listening in. Eventually, I'd like to do a group, but I think I'll just continue learning, and then I'll possibly later.
Terrific. No problem at all. And I'm glad you were here to understand what's your group managers are doing. So that's good. Ivan, how about you? And I have someone here called user, but I think that's Arena. I'm not sure. Are you two comfortable in knowing what to do as the next step if you want to start a group? Okay, there is a chat box there if you don't have a mic. Or you can email me separately. Well, I know you all have my email address or you wouldn't be here. But here, I'll put it here just for convenience. Oh, it didn't go in. I didn't type it. Okay. Okay. So, why isn't it? What am I doing wrong here? Did it go? Oh, I see. I just didn't see it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Got to run. I would like to. Oh, very good. So there's user, and I have a question above, and yes, I'm going to start. We'll send you an email. Let me see what your question was. I hadn't seen it. Ivan, okay. Let's say we're going to train with online roulette because it is not the National Sports Game. Game result will not be published at the beginning. So could the group manager make a picture of his or her computer screen, and as viewers submit their protocol, could the manager also submit the photo of the computer screen as the result of roulette? If yes, at what step and how to do this? I think you certainly could do that, and taking copies of screens is not that hard in this day and age. Sorry, but I lost the chat box. That happens to me for reasons which I do not know. I brought it over to my other screen and I lost it. Ivan, if I understood your question, you're asking is if you were doing something like roulette, could you copy the screen to give it to the other people if they weren't watching? And the answer certainly is yes. You would want to do that as the event. So it would be the equivalent of them watching the game, and in a sporting event, a soccer, football for you guys, event, you might send them a picture of the outcome, which was a local match, but if you had it on your internet, you might send them a picture of the final score. So here you might send them a picture of, and there was one of that ball being in the one red location. So yes, you could send that to them just as sort of confirmation of what happened. Gee, I don't know if I've answered your question, and I literally have lost the chat box. But if you write something, somebody else who's got a mic can repeat it to me. Yeah, it's very strange. I'm sorry you don't have a mic so we could talk. Okay. Jenny, is he typing anything into the chat box? I literally lost it. This happened to me one other time. And
I don't, Marty, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't see anything. I have the chat box.
Okay.
I don't see anything in the chat box, but But your screen has gone blank, which is really kind of bizarre.
No. I happen to have it on a blank page.
No, I see your mouse now, but I
had it on I just had it on a blank page.
Okay, now I see your screen.
Yeah, that was the last thing.
Ivan, if you can type in the chat box, I can see and I can relate to Marty what you have, what you want to say.
Yeah, if I didn't answer his question.
It's important to communicate, you know, how you're feeling about this. The groups, you know, especially for those of us, you know, I'm Canadian, especially for those of us in other countries, you know, I mean, we need to get this past the United States. I realize that all of us are facing, you know, considerable obstacles, especially where, you know, we're having to deal with, you know, physical issues of you know, finance and getting food and everything like that right now. But this, I think, can lead to things getting, you know, to getting a considerable improvement in this. And those of us who are outside of the U.S., we need to start to bring this, you know, to be something other than an American, you know, other than an American thing. We need to bring other countries into this to, you know, to help us as a global people.
Okay. And I think Ivan, and also I think the person who's in as user want to do that. Okay, and if there's no further, we can just end this now, unless there's something else in the chat or someone wants to turn on their mic. And always feel free to email me directly if there are any questions, and clearly email me with your group name, and we'll pick it up from there. So I thank you for participating here, and also email me if you want a copy of this webinar. So take care to all of you, and keep precogging and start group precogging. Okay, so bye now.